Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into something that, well, to be honest, it has the potential to really shake things up.
Yeah, this one's a biggie.
We're talking about former President Trump's recent announcement
Oh, yeah.
that he might slap a 25% tariff on absolutely everything.
Every
Everything coming into the U.S., from our neighbors to the north and south,
Canada and Mexico.
Canada and Mexico. Now, anyone who's been following along knows Trump and tariffs, they have a history.
A bit of a love-hate relationship, you might say.
Exactly. Steel, aluminum. Remember that whole back and forth during the NAFTA renegotiations?
Oh, yeah, that was a wild ride.
But this new threat, this is a whole other level. We're talking a blanket 25% on everything.
Which is a lot. It's a big jump from what we've seen before. And the timing, right before a presidential election, it's a bold move, to say the least.
So what's the game plan here?
Yeah.
Trump's saying it's all about stopping the flow of drugs.
Fentanyl, especially.
Right, fentanyl.
Right.
And illegal immigration. But, I mean, come on, is this really about policy, or is this just classic Trump, trying to flex his muscles and put pressure on Canada and Mexico?
It's a good question. I mean, using tariffs as a bargaining chip, that's a tactic as old as time. But the real question is, does it actually work? Some economists are saying this could backfire spectacularly.
How so?
Well, think about it. When you hit one country with tariffs, what happens? They usually hit back with their own retaliatory tariffs. And who ends up paying the price?
American businesses and consumers.
Bingo. You got it. So, yeah, this whole thing could end up hurting us more than it hurts them.
Okay, so let's talk about the part everyone's really worried about. What does this mean for our wallets? Are we talking about, like, a few extra cents for our morning coffee?
Oh, this is way bigger than coffee, way bigger. Think about it. Canada and Mexico, they're major players. We get so much from them. The oil that powers our cars, the lumber that builds our houses, food, everything. You slap a 25% tariff on all that, that's going to send prices through the roof.
That's what I'm talking about. Some economists are even saying this could push us into a recession.
It's a real possibility.
I mean, will businesses even be able to handle that?
Some might try to eat the cost, at least at first. But eventually, that cost gets passed down to the consumer. And remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. We're already dealing with inflation. Pile a massive tariff on top of that. It's a recipe for disaster.
And this whole thing, it seems to contradict Trump's whole Make America Great Again platform, right? Didn't he promise to bring down the cost of living?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. On one hand, you have this appeal to voters who are worried about immigration and the drug problem. And on the other hand, you've got this potential for widespread economic pain. It could alienate a whole different group of voters.
So is this all just a political stunt? Is he playing to his base, knowing this tariff might never actually happen?
It's hard to say for sure. He could be using this as leverage in negotiations, trying to get Canada and Mexico to cave without actually having to go through with the tariffs. But it's a dangerous game. This kind of brinkmanship can really damage relationships and trust.
So where do we go from here? What should we be looking out for as this story develops?
Watch how Canada and Mexico react. Will they retaliate with tariffs of their own? And what's going to happen to specific industries, like the auto industry, which relies heavily on that cross-border trade. And of course, the big question, what's the public going to think? Will voters care more about the economy or about border security?
A lot of uncertainty, a lot at stake. So here's something for you to ponder, dear listeners. In our globalized world, can we really afford to play politics with trade? What are the long-term consequences of using tariffs as a weapon? It's a question we all need to think about if we try to make sense of this increasingly complex world.